Welcome to the program Parliament and Governance. My name is Evan Sunohoge. We're told that the defense of the budget is going on the floor of the National Assembly. Anyway, there are insinuations that the floor is very scanty, and also too, there are allegations also that journalists are not invited for this budget defense. Perhaps you may want to say that as a story for another day. As the leadership of the National Assembly continues with some very pressing national issues, this time it is the visa ban and of course the visa conditionalities that the United Arab Emirates is giving to Nigerians. And also too is also related to the banning of Nigerian air flights going into the United Arab Emirates. And also we understand that the United Arab Emirates has also banned Emirates Airlines from coming into the country. How can we resolve these issues now as it relates to these countries? We are so privileged today to discuss this matter with us today. We are so privileged to have a former councillor in Edo State, to be precise, former councillor Ward 7 in Ego Local Government Council in Ego Local Government area, and of course a former executive director to the Edo State government. We're talking about an astute politician, Honorable Derrick Uhunwawo. Honorable, welcome to this program, Parliament and Governance.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Very good day to you viewers.
All right, so we just saw what transpired recently at the National Assembly, whereby the leadership had to intervene between United Arab Emirates and, of course, Nigeria. So how do you look at this issue going on?
Well, it's quite unfortunate because there are serious shortchangement of the Nigeria people at the international sphere. Every multinational business seems to be ripping Nigeria off. The International Airline or Aviation Association are clamoring that the central government needs to release their money to them. But in the real sense of the word, this money is not in the coffers of the central government, yes, of Nigeria. Their money is in their custody, but because of the one-sided bilateral trade or aviation kind of agreement that Nigeria have with these multinational airline operators, then Nigeria seems to be duty-bound to convert whatever naira assets that they have to dollar for their onward repatriation to their countries. You know, so it's a total rip-off of the Nigeria people and the Nigeria economy. You will also recall that Nigeria and Nigerians have been clamoring for equity in the aviation space, so that the Nigerian local carriers can also be flying to these nations who are doing business of flights into Nigeria. But there seems to be no reciprocity in relation to this. Allen Oyema, the CEO of Air Peace, have been clamoring with the support of the CBN and the National Assembly that the quota need to be shared between the Nigeria aviation owners and the multinational airline operators. But the countries like Dubai and what have you seem not to care about it. Whenever Nigeria try to push their point, then they will threaten Nigeria with a total shutdown of the aviation space by way of not servicing Nigeria anymore. Okay. So it is very unfortunate, and this goes a long way to teaching us that we need to look inward, that the Nigerian government need to support the local business here. It's not necessarily important to the Nigeria economy, however you look at it, but I feel very strongly that Nigeria have little or nothing to benefit from the multinational businesses operating here in Nigeria. Instead, Nigeria needs to do every proper thing to ensuring that the local investors here are improved so that they can compete at the global scale and with the global standard that is obtainable in the market.
Okay. All right. So there seems to be two issues here. We're talking about the United Arab Emirates stopping their airline coming into Nigeria and Ofosco, and also we're also looking at a situation whereby UAE is also banning visa, not giving visa to Nigerians, even if they are giving visas or it is on some conditionalities. So for an average Nigerian now, he or she perhaps does not understand what is going on. Is it because as a result of the fact that Nigeria has not been able to repatriate the said fund back to UAE, or because of some reports that are somehow connected to insecurity issues that Nigerians are alleged to be responsible for at the UAE? Why do you think is this visa ban at this time?
Well, the UAE did not give any specific reason for issuing the visa ban on Nigerians. To the best of my knowledge, they did not give any reason for it. But pundits here and there, some are saying that it's as a result of the issue of security challenges as it affects Nigerians in the UAE. Because up to like 40% of crime and criminality in the UAE tend to be pointed, the fingers tend to be pointed at Nigerians or Africans. So as a result of this, some people are saying maybe this is why the United Arab Emirates is banning visa, not only to Nigerians though, but to 19 countries.
Yeah, but Nigeria seems to be in the forefront.
Out of these 19 countries, 18 are from the Africa continent. It's quite unfortunate. And the only outsider seems to be I think the Dominican Republic from the North American sphere. Now, what does this tell you? Whatever reason they are giving for doing what they do, I'm also aware that the UAE is undergoing reforms in their visa processes and structure at the moment. But why would you have to, shortchange Africans? Why will you have to slap it on the face of Africans? Over the years, Africans have always been at the receiving end. We have always been shortchanged by the Western world. We have always been shortchanged by any first world country. They find way to take advantage of us. They find way to rip us off. Just now, it's UAE's turn to also rip us off. But you will recall that UAE have benefited enormously from Nigerians going to the UAE on tourism. And you will now, let us now go back and look at this issue critically. Why will Nigeria care so much about foreign countries to the detriment of their country? When issues come up, the Nigerian government tend to respond faster as it relates to foreign nationals. Whereas the local people and local business owners get little or no attention from its government. But this is not so for every country that wants progress for its people. It is not so for the Americans. It is not so for the Europeans. It is not even so for the Chinese. Countries, first world countries, were able to build their nation because they concentrated and focused more on their people. They give grants to local businesses to thrive. They give a lot of concessions to areas of business that seem to be challenged in their economy so that they can grow and they can thrive and they can be at par at the global scale. But the Nigerian government seems not to be doing anything or very little in relation to this. So we need to go back to our drawing board. Not, mind you, even the COVID-19 funds that were released to micro and small scale businesses for them to cushion the effect of the COVID-19 lockdown. Are you aware that some governors till now have not released it to their citizens? And this is money released by the World Bank. This is not even money that needs to come from their own account.
The question we should be asking,
some of them
these governors, did they actually get it from the federal government via...
All day long, the federal government have been very flexible with dealing with state governors. They make sure that whatever comes to them goes to them immediately. If there's anything we must give to the Buhari government, this is it. Buhari government have done excellently well in relation to giving what is due to every state to the states, apart from issue of corruption here and there. So what I'm trying to say in relation to this visa ban on Nigerians is that the fault is on the Nigerian government. Over the years, they have neglected our aviation sector. Nigeria does not have a national carrier, whereas only recently, billions of naira have been voted in relation to trying for us to have our own national carrier. A carrier that where the Nigerian government will have only 5%. It has spent up more than 40 billion naira on it already, and they are yet to take off. So it appears that the Nigerian government does not know where its priority lies. Instead of spending so much money on a project that might not see the light of the day, why not support local aviation industries in the country with grants? Yes, with grants, not even loans, with grants. So that as soon as they are able to compete favorably with their counterpart at the international space, then they will repatriate a lot of funds to the government by way of taxes.
Okay.
So Nigeria needs to go to its drawing board with a view to doing much more so that local businesses can thrive at the international sector.
Okay. All right, viewers, the program is still Parliament and Governance on independent television. And our focus today is looking at the intervention of the leadership of the Nigerian National Assembly relating to the visa ban that the UAE has given to Nigeria, and of course stopping the United Arab Emirates from flying into Nigeria and vice versa. Most Nigerian airlines have also been stopped from flying back to the United Arab Emirates. Now, some of the conditions that the UAE has given now is that if you are seeking a tourist visa, you must be 45 years above, you must show evidence of marriage, and of course, even if you are also seeking a residency visa, there are some conditions that you must meet. Just like what I was trying to say earlier on, that other countries are involved, but Nigeria seems to be in the forefront on the African continent as it relates to this. So why do you think when it comes to issues that borders on on security, so to say, of, host nations of Nigerians, why do you think Nigerians are always in the forefront? What do you think is responsible for this?
The issue is about economics. Nigerians are impacting the UAE economy very positively, very positively. So it is very disrespectful that UAE have slammed this visa ban on Nigeria. No matter what the situation is, be it the challenges of insecurity, or be it the inability for their foreign airline that operates in Nigeria to repatriate its fund back to its country, UAE have benefited tremendously, enormously from the Nigeria economy. You will also recall that the Nigerian people seem to be paying more in terms of flight fares more than every other people all over the world. Nigerians tend to pay like 250% more for a 6-hour flight than the South Africans pay, than the Englishman will pay. So these are areas where Nigerian government have failed to strategically look into the plight of its people. The only person that has said something that, almost the only person that has said something that strikes a chord with me in this whole issue is the Director General of the National Institute of Strategic Studies, Professor Ayo Omotayo. He has recommended that Nigerians should shun the UAE, that Nigerians should on their own ban themselves from visiting the UAE. Because until you are able to know who you are, until you know that yourself and your capacity and your ability, then people will take you for granted. Countries have done very excellently well, even when they were under solitude. It was until Japan, closed its border and looked inward that they were able to see the light of the day in terms of competition with other global economies. They went inward, they shut their border after the Second World War, and they developed themselves. But today, Japan is a country to reckon with. No nation all over the world would be able to threaten Japan in terms of economics. So this is an eye-opener. Nigeria and Nigerian government need to look inward, need to see how they'll be able to improve on themselves. We have what it takes. We have the human capital. We have the mineral wealth. We have the very lovely climate. We have one of the best climates in the world. We have everything it takes by nature to be one of the greatest countries in the world. And until our focus is on this, people will continue to rip us off. Nations all over the world will always find a way to steal and grab from us.
Okay.
So the government of the day and future government must be very strategic. We must have long-term goals towards reposition Nigeria to that state of prosperity that we all clamor for.
All right, so talking about future government now, little wonder where can Nigerian government start from? Because statistically, more than 80% of Africans that travel to the UAE for tourist reasons are Nigerians. And little wonder, we've also got some tourist attraction centers here, but little wonder how come Nigerians don't take advantage of these places. So if a Nigerian government were to come in and probably redirect our attention to back home, where do you think this Nigerian government can start from?
It needs to start,
as it relates to tourism now, where?
It needs to, first of all, tackle the problem and challenges of insecurity. There was an opinion poll that was carried out online some time ago, and people were asked the areas that they require government to focus on, like 911. And almost 50% of respondents had identified the challenges of insecurity, even though the items listed were up to 10. But the issue of security got almost 50%. So Nigeria government needs to focus, first of all, on the challenges of insecurity. As soon as that is done, then it needs to also develop our electricity sector. Once that is achieved, then it needs to focus next on the roads and the rail projects. These three areas or sectors of our economy will automatically rejig the Nigeria economic space, be it in the production sector, be it in the tourism sector, be it in the education sector, and what have you. So we need to look inward, we need to focus on ourselves, like I've said earlier, with a view to ensuring that Nigeria is in position to see that state of Eldorado that we all clamor for. So until our government looks inward, then we will continue to cry foul of other nations trying to rip us off.
Okay, so as we begin to suggest remedies now, solutions on this issue, visa ban issue, United Arab Emirates air carrier not coming into Nigeria, and of course Nigerian air carrier, Air Peace Airline, and some others too not going to United Arab Emirates. Where do we start from?
And we should, as a matter of urgency, also, you see, we are in a very, very tight diplomatic row with the UAE. And we need to play it cool because we have no cards on the table. We need to play it cool now and resolve this issue. No action. What card have we to play? We have no national carrier. And our local aviation sector is not booming, it's not thriving. They don't have any quota. They have almost no quota, you know, at the global level, at the intercontinental level. Yeah, they fly some African routes.
No reputation, so to say.
You know, so we have no cards on the table. Because of these things that are happening, if we had a government that is proactive, because it's usually said that proactive vision is the beginning of strategic wisdom. If we had government that is proactive, all of these things will not be bedeviling us now. We could have seen it, foreseen that such day will come where other countries will try to muscle us and try to build bridges between gaps. But we have failed to address issues before they come. Now the issues are here. What are we going to do? We do not have muscle to flex. Our people are stranded abroad. You will recall that close to 500 of Nigerian nationals
were deported.
Were repatriated.
Yeah.
They were stranded abroad in the UAE. So Nigerian government needed to put two and two together with a view to helping them come back home. So we now have to play it cool. As soon as this issue is resolved, then we must put on our thinking cap with a view, to forestalling it in the future. What are the ways of forestalling it? I mentioned a few ones earlier. Nigeria needs to boost its local aviation sector. They should forget about this white elephant project of trying to have our own national carrier. It has never worked. Even the national carriers that are operational now, go and look at Ethiopia Airlines. Go and look at the Kenya Airlines. They continue to record losses in millions of dollars every quarter. They are not making profits.
In Nigeria?
No, I mean the other countries that have their national carrier.
Okay.
They are not making profits. So what business is the Nigerian government trying to have a national carrier?
So instead they should support...
They should only have a national flag carrier. They should support the local aviation sector so that those ones can be very, very strong in the aviation industry. And Nigeria should give them a booster by way of grants, by way of logistical support, by way of any support that they require in order for them to thrive.
Okay.
Once they thrive, then the government of the day or the future government will be able to take glory and take ownership that, yes, this is our local airline, and we can host our flag on there. Without spending $1, yet we will host our flag on this local airlines that are doing exploits at the global scale. So this is just one of the areas where the government, Nigerian government, need to focus on.
Okay. All right. Very exciting, you may want to say. I want to say a very big thank you to Honorable Derrick Onwuagu. Now the issues are very clear. One thing that stands is Nigeria as a nation. We need to build on our reputation. I mean, my heart bleeds anytime I hear that certain nations are banning Nigerians from coming into their country, giving visa ban here and there, and of course giving conditions that if you must come to our country, most of the conditions are very impossible at times. That if you must come into our country, you must meet these conditions. It goes to show that all is not well back at home. So it behoves on the authority involved to make sure that we reposition our country so that nations of the world can readily accept us in. A very big thank you to Honorable Derrick Onwuagu for finding time to come on the show today. All right, so that's the program, Parliament and Governance. Until same time, on the same show, my name is Evan Sunokoge.